Infamously Speaking is back again on election day this time. Special election day episode? No, it's just
Wow.
a Tuesday. It's just a Tuesday. That's it. That's it. That's it. Not saying that
Yo, we should put a
election
poll up.
and voting is not important. I'll put a poll up.
Yeah,
About
put a
what?
poll up.
About?
Oh, they gotta select who's. Nah. There gotta be something we agree on. Like who's funnier, Matt or myself?
You think we agree on that?
Who? Yeah, absolutely. There's no way you think you're funnier than me, guy.
Is there- Why would you say that?
No way.
I'm a funny guy.
No, you've definitely
I'm a funny guy.
you definitely have a lot more humor to you than when we first, met. Because you have a long way to go.
Listen, the thing is, the humor's always been there, and I've said this on the pod before.
No.
It takes time. It takes time, and not only that, like as you start to grow and you advance in wisdom, right? Like you then start to become quicker
Wittier.
with things,
Yeah,
wittier.
yeah.
You could put more things
To
together.
reference. Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. When I first met you, you was what, 18?
18,
Everything was
18.
going over your head. I'd say a joke, and you're just like, oh yeah, and it's like,
No,
he totally
let's
missed
give some
that.
context. This guy was referencing movies from like the 60s. Yeah.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's
you know what's funny? Yeah, it's
like,
funny you said that.
How do you know she's the one? How do you know she's the one?
No, so it's funny because it's me and a few other people were talking about movies, and this girl was like, I wasn't even born when that came out, right? And then I was singing "My Girl," talking about my girl, and she's like, "Oh, I love that movie." I'm like, "That movie's older than the movie that came out. The one you just was saying." Oh, I'm not old enough to watch that
kids.
Off you kids.
Set themselves up.
Yo, so I want to say, right? I got some good energy, right? It's election day. First time I voted. I'll tell you that story in a little bit. I don't want it to drag on. I do have my Yankees hat back on. Let's open the show like this, right? Because I know you want to talk. You wanted to talk. You wanted to talk a little bit about baseball. So I have to. I have the Yankees hat on. I even got the subway card on it, the pen, fire hat. So shout out to Ori for being on the show. But I almost lost a few brothers and good friends over this World Series, man. We was talking. Well, they was talking so much shit, and then it unraveled. Sort of like that inning where it was error after error.
It was the fifth inning, man. It was the fifth inning.
Fifth inning, 5 runs, that thing. So, they didn't talk to me for like a day, right?
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but it was like they were purposely ignoring me. And then I had fell asleep because I purposely woke up at 6 in the morning and say, "Good morning," because Gmo would always say, "Good morning," after the Yankees win. So I had to do it back.
He didn't do that very much last couple of weeks, I'm guessing, huh?
I woke up to so many pictures of me wearing a Yankee hat. It was not even funny, bro. And they were firing me. I ain't gonna lie. Shout out to my boys, yo. I could appreciate a good joke. Unlike you guys, I could appreciate a good joke. So I didn't get mad. I thought it was hilarious. But the funny shit was this. I was like, damn, you gotta show me more love. Because they was posting a bunch of pictures of me and shit with the hat on. Then you did on my birthday. And then it went down a whole nother thing. They thought I was still mad about that, which I wasn't. I just was using it as reference. Again, I thought it was funny that they did that to me. And yeah, it's still my family, man. It was good times. And like I said,
kept the receipts.
Like, yeah, kept the receipt. But that's what I was doing. So like I said, right, growing up around these guys and over the last decade, when the fuck was you an Eagles fan? When was you a Rams fan? Like, you know what I mean? When the Patriots was going to the Super Bowl, it was, yeah. It literally felt like me against the world. So I had to do that. I had to keep that energy for them. And then it was different because they had each other. Usually it's just me and maybe one other person like Omar, right? But Omar's not too vocal, so he's not like in the mix like I am, right? So, but yeah,
Listen,
that's neither here nor there.
we all need somebody to lean on. Shout out if you got. You should understand that reference, not you, the audience,
Yeah,
right? You know my girl, legendary song, "Lean on Me," legendary song.
love that song.
Oh my goodness.
I think that's
Well,
Bill
guess what?
Withers.
It is Bill Withers. Um,
Woo! Yo, you see I shouted you out for your birthday, and that post had to be top 5.
yeah, that was a little serious, but we'll get to that and more on the other side of the break. You're tuning to Infamously Speaking.
That energy.
Wow. Welcome back to Infamously Speaking. Thank you for tuning in. Before we jump into everything, I just want to say, first and foremost, appreciate all the love and feedback that we've gotten on previous episode. Big shout out to our guy, Ori, for coming on, showing love, dropping hot takes and knowledge on the show. Before we get into everything, if you could do us a huge favor and subscribe to Infamously Speaking wherever you're listening. YouTube, that's right, we got video now. Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. Please subscribe, drop a comment, leave a review. It all helps the show grow, get noticed, spread the Infamously Speaking love to the masses. So, like Quan said before we went to the break, so it was my birthday last week. And, birthdays are always so interesting, right? Because they're like bittersweet, right? Like it's another year of life. Obviously, thank God for another year of life. But it's another year you're getting older, right? It's another year behind you. Just reminds you how fast time goes by, how quick it goes. And it also kind of makes you stop and think of like, man, how much you take for granted sometimes, right? Like it's almost like like when you drive, you get it's a long day at work, your brain's kind of fried, you get in your car and you drive home, and then like you show up at home, but you don't remember how you got there. Like you remember nothing but your drive. Like
yeah.
that's how life can be sometimes. And like from year to year, and thank God for the milestone moments that you have. It could be holidays or maybe you spend an awesome day with your kid. I know you've had a couple of those days with Noah where
Oh, for
those
sure.
those are really the days that stick out to you because like everything else just seems like it blends together so much.
Yeah.
But I do have to shout you out because your birthday shout out was really creative and I thought it was a little wild. And it's funny because I didn't read it all because the track you chose, so it's Curtis Blow in a remix basketball song.
Yeah. They
Shout
didn't
out to
have the
my
original.
shout out to Tone because he does it perfectly. His shout out says to my brother, the better half of Infamously Speaking, the Parlay King, J. Cole lookalike, Drake ad-libs, and the youngest man with the oldest soul. And I didn't even see the J. Cole lookalike piece. That was probably I would have revoked my post and deleted that shit if I would have read that. That is so disrespectful.
For those who don't know, when Matt and I used to work together, we had so many people walk out of their way to be like, "Oh, I thought you was J. Cole. My bad." Like, yo,
Out of pocket, bro. Out of pocket.
Didn't one time you start doing a J. Cole song?
Oh yeah, I did. I'm not gonna do it again.
That's fucking hilarious, bro.
It's out there. Early shows, 2019. If you go back, it's. I'm pretty sure we captured it live on one of the podcasts.
Yeah, you gotta get better with your Drake ad libs again. Your Drake drops ain't there no more. Is it because of Kendrick? LA's just fucking you up. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Nah, it's just I've grown and I just don't listen to Drake like that no more, to be honest with you. Also, Drake's not typically like appropriate listening music, and I always got my kids with me. I'm the one that drives, and so that's typically when I listen to music anyways. But I'm not gonna be blasting Drake with my kids in the car. Last thing I need my son to be saying is like, I don't fucking know, something wild like 0 to 100 real quick. Don't need that. Don't need that. Even though it's accurate, they go 0 to 100 real quick. Too fucking quick, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
This it's definitely not their redeeming qualities. But
Yeah,
um, appreciate the birthday shout outs. And you know what? You know what the best thing the Yankees did for me was lose on Wednesday because game 6 would have been November 1st, which is my birthday.
yeah,
So I had a stress-free, relaxing birthday. I saved my beer probably would have been gray
yeah.
completely. So it was good, man. It was good.
You
Appreciate the
guys
shout
had
out.
some hope. I know you talked about it. You had some hope because you guys were in the games for the most part, right? You had an opportunity to really. It could have flipped easily. Like you guys could have been up. So yeah, I could only imagine the stress because me not having the emotional attachment, uh, I could appreciate.
Yeah, kind of like talking about it when we spoke last week when O was on the show, but like adopting the approach of what we've seen in the Bronx Tale, right? You sent me the clip like years ago, and bro, that shit used to be so bad for I'd go to bed frustrated, wake up
Yeah,
frustrated,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, what the fuck is the point, bro? They
Hmm.
don't give a shit about me. Kind of like this election. No disrespect to people that are super passionate about it. Regardless of who wins, do they really give a fuck about you?
Yeah. So
You know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you
Yankees don't give
mean.
a fuck about me.
Yeah. D- Aaron Judge don't know what the fuck he eating tonight or care.
He don't give a fuck enough to hit the ball. And that's his job. He gets paid to do that.
So so it's funny, right? Like I mentioned it briefly. This is the first year I ever voted. Uh and
That's
there's a
dope.
reason behind it. I was in a group of people, I guess you could say, and they started talking about, the people they wanted to vote for. And then that's when two different people from two different parties were like, you should vote for no. So obviously it instantly intrigued me and caught my attention because I'll pretty much do anything for no. Um, and I started asking questions like why? Because I'm gonna be honest, I never got into politics, never was big into politics. I always felt like one, I don't really see the change, and two, um, I always felt like they're just in the forefront, and there's people who's really running shit behind the scenes, regardless. So that's just how I felt personally. But when they started talking about it, it's funny because they always say don't talk about politics. Probably something we shouldn't do, even on a podcast. But it's like, because people get in their feelings, they get emotional,
Yeah.
and it gets a little heated, right? And it did, because they were talking about different policies in place, which I don't want to get into depth. I'm sure everybody's heard every one of them by now. Um, they're actually tallying the polls as we speak.
Yep.
But me being me, the silly guy I like to be, I was like, I think I'm gonna vote, and I'm gonna go dressed as Kim Jong or the guy from North Korea.
Yeah, that's world peace. World
Yeah,
peace is on its way.
yeah. Like I want, I'm gonna participate in this. Um, well, I didn't do that. I did go to where I needed to go to vote, and they
Good
found
for
out it was
you.
my first uh time. So everybody in the gym just starts clapping. They announced it like, "Oh, we got a first timer," and they start clapping. So I play along with it like this, like, "Yeah, yeah." What did I win? Like, when do I give my speech? And that wasn't that funny, but I just continued on my vote. I filled in my circle. They was like, make sure it's like within the lines because it won't read it right. I'm over there
Right.
scribbling everywhere. Um, but no, I did vote, and it did feel good to vote, especially because, like I said, it felt like I was doing it for no. Um, I know that you mentioned prior to us getting on, but the lesser of two evils, right? And you talked about how, like, you're, and you've always been this way too. Like, you're a man of character, so it's like, you know, one's a little bit more outrageous than the other. So that's kind of where your vote lies, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, people get into all the politics and policies and all this shit. Like, Yeah, this motherfucker say he was gonna build a wall, right? And there's no wall. Like, I would have been impressed if he built the wall. Like, look at the wall. There it is. He
Yeah.
did it. He said he was gonna
Well,
do it.
yeah.
And I'm sure there's things that he said he was gonna do. I don't follow politics heavy. I'm not a political influencer. I don't give a shit who you voted for. Here's the principle. Okay. If my own neighbor doesn't give a fuck about me, do I
Mhm.
expect this person that has 300 plus million Americans to give a fuck about me? No. Just be a good
Yeah.
person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's all it needs to be. And that's what we
Yeah.
could leave it. I don't give a shit who you voted for. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
care
yeah, yeah.
what party you align with. You treat me good, I'm gonna treat you good regardless of what you do. I'm gonna treat you good. And that's
Yeah.
it. Let's just be decent human beings. Let's respect people's beliefs and
Yeah.
let's keep it rolling.
So
That's it.
I love that you said that, right? Because shout out to my boy Nathan. We went and got pho, and I you get a fortune cookie. So they gave me a fortune cookie, and it sounds mad Asian of me, but so the fortune said, uh, to change the world, you first have to be kind, right? And we talk about all the time, just try to
Right.
be good humans, right? Be good to one another, right?
Right.
The change really has to start within you, and then hopefully it becomes a trickling effect to others that you surround yourself with,
Exactly.
and you give yourself that
Exactly.
energy. And to be more Asian, that is actually what really drove me to be like, nah, I can't vote for this guy, because when he called the whole coronavirus the Kung flu and the Asian hate crime went up, I can't justify selecting this individual be my leader. Like, I can't do it. But again, I don't even think he runs things, but the way he carries himself is enough for me to be like, I'm good. And
Yeah.
that's what it is. Whether he wins, whether he doesn't, I went through 7 presidents already who I'm still struggling to make ends meet, and I'm trying to get this podcast popping. So
That's it.
we outside.
That's it. That's it. We trying to spread love and positivity because it seems these days love is what's infamous. Keep it a stack with you.
Mm,
Positive vibes are what's
mm.
infamous.
That's a good
Helping
quote.
each other out is what's infamous. And it
Y'all,
shouldn't be that way.
y'all definitely putting that as a caption.
Put it as a caption. That's it. Listen, as long as we can agree on one thing, fuck these sports books, bro. That's what, as long as we can, we
Yo,
can
fuck
agree on that.
Vegas. Vegas is out of control.
Listen, man. Like we said, bro. What was that? The 50 Cent shit? Many men. It's like
Yeah.
the sports books wish death upon me.
Upon me. Yeah, yeah,
let me bet on players with injuries.
yeah,
Showing me props that I can't see. And
yeah.
they try to take my bread away.
Yeah. The parlay game is something you don't want to fuck with, bro. This is how I knew Matt was fucked up in the game. And Matt's not even realistically, Matt's not even a gambler. He's just using my money to gamble at this point. But yeah, but he's so I will say I love your passion behind it. I sent Matt a meme. Actually, it wasn't even a meme. It was a fucking interview, or it was a clip of a guy talking about how much Vegas made in a month, over 100 million off of parlays, and Matt's like, "Fucking trying to steal our joy" or some shit like that. I'm like, yo, I'm like, hell yeah,
Killjoy.
Yeah,
That's Killjoy.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That's the energy
I don't feel
we
bad,
needed.
bro. Let me spend my $10 in peace. I could be doing worse things with that $10.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
You know what I mean? So
I was talking to somebody and I know we mentioned it in the past, but it brings that much more attention and excitement to the game. Like
100%.
You're more invested in another game that you could care. You give two shits about.
Bro, 150%. That's how it is. Like I would not know who the fuck Xavier Hutchinson is. I'm like, oh wait, man, I like it. I like it for 2+. I like it for 2+.
Yeah, Nico's out. Okay,
that's like never heard of the guy. No clue.
That's funny, yo.
I'm his biggest fan, bro. I voted for him. That's who I voted for.
Yeah. Oh, like if you're not parlaying, right? If you're not parlaying, when will you watch a Titans game?
Never.
People in Tennessee's not watching the Titans game.
I don't know. They getting drunk, bro.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
So if it wasn't for the parlays, a lot of franchises would be struggling with views, I'm sure.
100%. But listen, at the end of the day, be kind to each other and don't let nobody take that joy away. That shit was. I was like, yo, this shit, I'm about to report this as fucking spam, hate messages. Well, I
Yeah.
felt targeted, bro.
Yo, you should have seen me when I read that shit. Cause I instantly jumped on the bandwagon like, yo, yeah, fuck him. You know, like if we was in a fight or something, and he said
Oh, you
something, and you're like, yeah, fuck, you know what I mean? Like I was like,
right, right, right. Like that one time, I won't say too much about that one time at that one place where you call that guy Chief Keef.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
good time. That was a
I,
good time.
I was like, oh boy. I'm like, oh boy. Let me call Nona real quick. Tell her she might have to get me out the pen. Like, 'cause this shit was about to go down.
Yo, it's mad funny you say that because we was talking about it, but Matt looks like he's in the pen talking like potting from you know
From
cell block.
nowhere.
Yeah,
You know
and
what's
then
funny is
Matt.
oh, go.
Right, no, you say.
No, I was gonna say is every time we talk about this, it just brings back when we was recording at my crib in Connecticut and we had Butter over and he sat right next to the AC.
That was funny. That was funny. Like, yo, you trying to get a confession out of me?
Yeah.
Yo, shout out to my boy Butter. Yo, you know what? So me and Butter, I'm probably in the most leagues with Butter as far as fantasy. I want to say at least 6, right? Which is a lot.
That is a lot.
So there's a lot of communication with him throughout the drafting process and all that. And I got mad love and I got mad respect for Butter. Somewhere along the lines got crossed because he no longer talks to me like.
Really?
And I hope he hears this. I'm gonna send this to him. Yeah, but I don't think it's on purpose. I think he's just going along with the theme of like he's fake mad at me, which is kind of weird because
That
I'm
is a
like,
little weird.
because he's like, I'll dress him like, hey Norm. I'm like, hey, I gotta talk to you, buddy, and he'll just skip over and he'll talk to whoever wrote after me or before me. But yeah,
That's crazy.
still got mad love, still got mad respect for Norm. He's a great friend, great guy. Um, just questionable character.
Okay. He's like, yeah, man, great guy, great guy. He's like, but definitely don't let him run. Don't let him around
Yeah.
your family. Don't
Don't
trust
don't
him.
sit him in front of an AC because he's giving up the details.
That shit was, yeah, that shit was so funny because guys, like, so I mean, how big do you think my office was at my crib? I mean, it was tiny.
No, it was tiny.
It was small. Like it comfortably fit about like 3 people max.
Yeah, I don't think. Could you put a bed in there?
It would have to be like a twin max.
Yeah. It's a
And
small room.
so I use it as my office. And bro, but it has one of those 220 ACs. It's not like the little window shit. It's the shit that you
Yeah.
slide into your wall.
Yeah.
And he was sitting right in front of that shit, bro. It's so funny because as we're recording, I can see the phases of cold that he's getting. So at first, when you start getting a little cold, you kind of go like this, start rubbing your arms a little bit. And then I see him going like this, back and forth.
He puts his coat on.
A little back and forth.
You know it was bad when he's like, "Yo, Matt, you got a blanket?" Like,
Bro, and what's crazy
terrible.
is, so what was we drinking? Is that when we drank the monkey shoulder?
Nah, we drank monkey shoulder with Tone.
With Tone. When did we was drinking because we drank
We
every
definitely
show.
were drinking.
And shit was spicy because I was warm. That's why the AC was on.
Yeah.
So he keeps drinking, trying to warm himself up.
Wasn't happening.
And then his teeth start chattering. I'm like, yo,
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm like, chatter away from the mic, bro. Chatter away from the
But
Nah,
here's
that
the
shit
good
was funny.
thing. Here's the good thing for our listeners out there and those who say they want to get on the show. You could do it from the comfort of your own home now. You don't gotta worry about no AC, none of that.
I was hoping you were gonna go there. I was
shout
hoping
out
that's
to
what you were gonna say.
Ori did it from the dugout.
Right.
You guys have the opportunity now more than ever to be in
join
your
in.
own comfort zone and join in. Because sometimes it's intimidating when you're in a room full of your peers or friends and you got to talk about sports or whatever the subject may be. But now it gives you guys even more comfort, so there shouldn't be any excuses to get on here and talk your shit.
That's a fact. You don't gotta worry about no AC. You don't gotta worry about instigations. We ain't trying to. get no information out of you. Just hot takes and stand your ground.
Yeah.
Man, infamously speaking, I did want to talk about the Yankees, but I don't know if I want to talk about them too much anymore, to be completely honest with you. Because we
It's
only like to
over.
talk we like to talk about winners, and they are
Yeah.
not winners. But what I will say is, uh, actually, I'll talk about this. I'm not gonna talk about the series. Y'all saw it. Go watch it. Go do whatever you want. If you want to consume any kind of baseball content, it's out there for you to see. What
It
I do
wasn't
want to
it
talk,
wasn't it wasn't interesting series. So I would
I think
you
so
know.
for sure. Like if you want to try to get into baseball, I think that's one thing that I really enjoyed about it. I said it when I was on the show is there was more people that were texting me, especially from work, because I was a big Yankee fan, and they were like you with your friends, like they wanted to talk shit to me because
Yeah,
they know how
yeah.
I am, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm the ultimate shit talker at work. I get on people all the time, and so they wanted their chance to come and get the digs at me.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that were hitting me up, texting me, giving me like updates as the game was going, like for me, like I won in that sense, right? The Yankees didn't win, but the passion for the game was growing. People were people were sending me shit like Yankees 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position. Fucking, I'm like, where the fuck you get that stat from? Like, I know you're locked in when you texting me shit like that. So that's what it's all about. Like, that's what the pod is about, for the love of the game, because we know what sports does and how it's impacted us and how we live our lives and the morals that we have. And so it's really cool to get people that had no interest in that at all. Like, bro, even my
Mhm.
boss's boss, whenever I got on a call with her, she'd be like, "So how the Yankees doing? What's going on here? What's doing?" I'm like, "This shit is crazy." Like, I
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah, yeah.
escape it. So it
Yeah.
sucked. But it was like, everybody's watching this shit. And so it just shows the power that shit has. Uh, so yeah. But we got the message loud and clear. Like, baseball is not the most exciting thing to talk about, and I understand that. I get it. So with that, because I'm feeling respectful today, we're gonna talk about baseball anyways.
I
Nah, I'm
respect
kidding.
it. I respect it.
The only thing I wanted to cover, and because I think it's gonna kind of leak into other things that we talk about on the show, is if you look at it, obviously Dodgers win 4-1, and you could think, because if you to other sports you might be familiar with if you don't watch baseball, right? Like if you watch basketball, you're like, wow, 4-1, that's like gentleman's sweep, that's light kind of deal. Or if you watch hockey, same deal. Um, but it was
Like it
close,
wasn't a
right?
challenge. Yeah,
Right, like it
yeah.
wasn't a challenge with the games, except for games 3 and 4, they were pretty close. But what really, I guess, got me interested was that after the series banter of, one Dodgers player was like, if you re-rank the playoff teams, the Yankees would be eighth or ninth out of 12 teams, by the way. So they were one of the last two
Yeah,
teams standing, and you're
that's
saying
disrespectful.
the eighth or ninth best team. It's disrespectful. You're saying, so you said Cleveland was better when the Yankees spanked Cleveland. Like, that wasn't really that close. And then what really caught my attention though was the manager Dave Roberts, who, two things. Number one, if you're a Yankee fan, you know who Dave Roberts is. If you're a sports kind of fan, you know who Dave Roberts is, because in sports history in best of seven series, there's only been one team to ever come back down 3-0. It was those 2004 Red Sox. And Dave Roberts stole that critical base that led to the Red Sox getting one of their wins. So he said two things that really caught my eye. First one was, he said the NLDS, which is round 2 of 4, was their, against the Padres, was their World Series.
I've seen that, yeah.
Which to me is crazy, because if you're the leader of a team, no matter how good your poker face is, the way you manage the game, the way that you show up, the way that you talk, it's eventually gonna go out. Your players know you, right?
Mhm.
Baseball games, they play so many games back to back that you're spending like 8 months out of the year with these guys. They're gonna know, and that's gonna kind of rub off on them.
Mhm.
So to hear that was crazy. Number one. So like, if I'm a Mets fan, if I'm a Yankees fan, I'm like, okay. And then, but he did also say something, which was he's glad they won Game 5, because if they had to go back to LA, spooky shit. Because no one's
Yeah.
ever done it. No one's been down 3-0 and forced to Game 6.
Yeah.
So, but I saw, as I was doing my research for this, one thing that really stuck, like there was a comment that I saw and it stuck out to me, and it was, part of winning is knowing how not to lose. and the Dodgers just they didn't make mistakes that allowed the Yankees to win. Where the Yankees made tons of mistakes and credit to Dodgers, they capitalized. And so if we
Yep.
transition that into football, which our audience is probably more familiar with because that's what we normally talk about, which is and you see it a lot with the Patriots. They very rarely ever made mistakes
Mm-hmm.
that would like we were talking about the Jets when Malachi Corley Thursday night, if you caught the game, dropped the ball before the end
Yep.
zone.
Yep.
They're like, when would you ever have seen that? And it never happened, I believe, in
Yeah.
that 2-decade dynasty that the Patriots had. When did you ever see things like that happen?
Yeah.
Never. It was teams against the Patriots that would do that.
Gotta do that.
So
Yep.
I found that really interesting.
I remember when that happened, and I was saying to myself, "Shout out to Scooby. Scooby got to get his appearance and get comfortable, readjusted." How do you, as a coach, right? When that game is over and it's the following day, and you guys are in your meeting, what are you saying? I'm saying this, fellas. What is the most important object when you're on that football field?
The football.
The football. So why in all hell would you drop the football? I
You
don't
know,
even care. Even when you're in the end zone, at that point, when you're in the end zone, throw it in the stands.
something.
Something like it makes no sense from I don't get it. I never understood why players would do that. You would think, right? Someone would like you would learn from others' mistakes because it's happened so often. But yeah, like you said, people shoot themselves in the foot. I know that we'll talk a little bit about that. Actually, it's a perfect segue. Might as well just jump into it. Is Jordan Love, right?
Mhm.
Shout out to Ori. He had the hot take of Green Bay getting to the Super Bowl. In Ori's defense, he did say Jordan Love would have to clean up some of
Yeah, he
his
did.
mistakes.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but and I think you said that, I forgot what it was, Matt. I think you said they still won like 6 out of 9 games.
Yep. 6-3. Yep.
Yeah, so they still won 6 out of 9 games with the mistakes that Jordan Love's been having. But at what point do those mistakes catch up to you? Especially if you're talking a Super Bowl, that means you're going against the upper echelon of the league and these better teams that you can't afford to make those mistakes because they're gonna come back and get you, as they did when you played a better team like the Lions. Um. So yeah, and that happens, right? I know you talked about it too with like the Patriots Falcons and that 28-3, and we talked about how they played not to lose instead of playing to win,
Mhm.
and that's how they started making these costly mistakes that eventually caught up to them.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about having a culture of winning. And I think that's why, like, when you see, and we'll get to Washington, why it's so impressive what they're doing. But and I think why, especially you like what Dan Campbell's built so much because he had to instill that culture of winning in Detroit. They were
Yes.
a bottom feeding franchise, to be completely honest with you, right? Until he got there and really built a culture of belief in winning is and the Patriots have that is they don't make the mistakes that lose them the game, right? They pressure you into getting you out of game script. They pressure you into chasing things that you don't necessarily have to chase because you feel like, hey, oh man, I'm playing New England, I'm playing Tom Brady, I'm in Foxborough, I got to score at least 28.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go for this fake punt on 4th and 3 from my own 35
And
kind of
have
shit.
one lineman who's the snapper.
Right. Shout out Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with Jordan Love. Like those things need to be cleaned up, and you'd assume with Matt Lafleur, like they'll be able to get that in check. It's just interesting because he sat behind Aaron Rodgers, who was so historically efficient and not turning the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's kind of more Brett Favre-ish in the fact of big arm, can let it rip, can make almost any throw on the field, but will put the ball in danger. Every
Yeah.
game this year, at least one interception. So his TD interception ratio is 1.5, 15-10. That's not necessarily great.
Wow.
And to your point, like you said, it might not bite you against Tennessee, who they played, or against lesser teams. But when you play the upper echelon, you're gonna have to go through Detroit, right, to get to the
Yeah.
Super Bowl more than likely.
Yeah.
When you play a team like that, you can't, and it gets magnified because that mistake directly led to 7 points because it was a pick six. It was the only 7 points, the only points the Lions scored in the second half to begin with.
Mm.
So, and it was a nasty, messy game with all the rain.
Mhm.
So, chunk plays at a premium in games like that. It's tough. It's going to be tough. Now, I want to flip to the Detroit side and get your opinion on this. So they added Zadarius Smith at the trade deadline, which is a big
Big
pickup
time.
to replace
Big time.
Hutchinson. Who do you think can beat Detroit in the NFC? And yes, I know they lost to Tampa, but we see what Tampa is right now without their receivers. So, who do you think can beat Detroit in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl? Because I know you like the Lions, but if there was anybody, what do you got?
It's got to be my guy. It's got to be him. It's got to be slaying Jaden.
Oh, he
Dirty
changed it up.
Daniels
Oh,
himself.
never mind. There it is.
Nah, I gotta give him. He deserves a nickname every time.
Incredible.
If there's anybody that can hunt a lion down, it's him. He's like a Rhodesian Ridgeback, like Scooby Doo. His breed hunts lions. For those who don't know. But yeah, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders.
Hold on.
I think they can.
Say that shit again. A what? A what? A Rhodesian Ridgeback?
Yeah, look it up.
How do you even spell that?
RHODESIAN.
Holy shit, that is a real thing. A
Yeah, come on, man.
Rhodesian to hunt large. That is crazy.
Bro, look at my
Yo,
guy.
shout out to you, bro. That shit is
Yeah.
fire.
You like
Holy
that, right?
shit. I had to pull out the fucking thesaurus for that.
Here's what I'll say. He's electric. He's new to the league. He's hard to defend. And unlike Jordan Love, he tends to not make those mistakes. I know you mentioned it before, so shout out to you for this, but he'll take the 3 yards and get out of bounds, or the little throw to Ertz, or even throw the ball away.
Yep.
Knowing that he has another opportunity the next down, which he clearly takes advantage of because of how much they score on their possessions, right? Well, even if it's a field goal, he wants something out of it. And just like the Lions, they made a huge move in acquiring Lattimore.
Huge.
Which is their biggest opportunity that we think of on their team, which is their defense and their secondary. And then you pair him up with Dan Quinn, and it could get even spookier. I would think, right? If you're an NFL team, the Commanders is one team you really don't want to run into, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that. And I think, obviously the addition of Lattimore, and we kind of talked about it a little bit off air, but when you got a mind like Dan Quinn, and now you get a piece like Lattimore, he's gonna, number one, tailor his play calling to the piece that he just added. So now with Lattimore, can you play a little bit more man, get a little bit a little more aggressive on his side, send an extra rusher when maybe you wouldn't have before, and now that generates some pressure. But getting back to Jaden, you called out the way he's playing. Like the Commanders have a 46% third down efficiency rate. That means almost half the time on third down, they're picking it up.
Yeah.
For a rookie quarterback to have numbers like that is insane. And it's not like it's little check downs. And no, he's commanding the field, literally. It always seems that he knows exactly where the ball needs to go. But he understands the defense. If it's not a hot read, he's not just throwing it right away. He's looking safeties off. He's using his eyes. You can see he's going through his progressions. If he's rolling out of the pocket, he's keeping his eyes downfield. He knows when to escape out the back of the pocket or when to step up and rush forward.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows how to avoid the big hit, which we kind of get on running quarterbacks of like putting their body in places that they shouldn't. Like, don't take the punishment if you don't have to. And so it's just really impressive to see him just command the offense in the way that he has. He looks like a veteran out there.
He really does. He really
looks like a
does.
vet
And
out
it's
there.
exciting. It's exciting. So I think there's another team that is scary if healthy, and it's your team.
Let's
and
go
the Rams.
Giants.
The Giants. Will you
The
cut it
Giants
out?
fucking suck.
Nah, the Rams. That Puka and Cooper combination is fucking. That's the real deal when they're healthy, man. And
Crazy.
Kyron ain't no joke, right? He's been consistent. Um, and Stafford. I'm glad Stafford went to the Rams for this reason because I think he's been able to showcase his talent even more. Not saying he didn't before, but he had obviously Megatron. Um, so I mean, I feel like I could throw a fucking 50-yard touchdown to Megatron personally, but
To
um,
me, is nasty.
Stafford is able to show you what he's capable of doing, the different, the projections of how he's throwing it, sidearm, the no looks, like and that team is good. And credit to you because you said this, and I didn't even know the guy to be honest. But Verse coming out of college, you said he could be the defensive rookie of the year,
He's
and that's
nasty, bro.
and he's found his way in the NFL for sure.
Absolutely. Just impactful, not just in the pass game either. But also setting the edge on running plays, getting penetration, and then also batting balls down, which is a huge, huge thing. If you're not gonna, you hear that all the time. If you're not gonna get home, put your hands up, try to knock a ball down, deflection or whatever. But yeah, man, I agree. When you and they still have a lot of way to go. But I mean, Ram dual receivers, you haven't gotten this excited about Rams receivers since what? Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt.
Torrey Holt, yeah,
I mean, and that was nasty. A greatest
yeah,
show on turf kind of energy. But
yeah,
when they're both on the field, pick your poison at that point,
yeah,
right? And then like Demarcus Robinson is a legitimate threat.
yeah.
6 for 94 and 2 tutties last week. And like Tutu Atwell can cast a pass. Like they got weapons all over the field that can get it done. Like you said, Kyron probably had his worst game of the year statistically wise. He didn't crack 70. First game of what, like was it 9, 10 games? He didn't score, he didn't find the end zone.
Yep, yep.
Um, but they still find a way to get it done. And what's
And
good?
that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Like, because that's when that like for example the Ravens, right? If you're planning against the Ravens, your game plan has to first start with stopping Derrick Henry. It has to
Right. Yes.
make Lamar beat you out the pocket. It's proven that he can't in the past.
Hmm.
As far as when it came to the bigger games.
Sure.
Do I think he has a good arm? Absolutely. Do I think he makes amazing plays? Absolutely. I'm not taking anything away from Lamar. I honestly want to see Lamar win a Super Bowl. I do.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
the reason why I bring this up is because unlike the Ravens, I feel like the Rams actually have more of a dual threat. And I might sound like I probably had a few too many Eagle rares, but the reason why I say that, Kyron is not too far behind Derrick Henry. I think he's in the top 10 for rushing, if I'm not mistaken. He's obviously scored a great amount. And then I think Stafford's a better accurate quarterback. Obviously, Lamar's a better dual threat quarterback. And I love the receiving core better with the Rams, right? With Puka and Cooper, Robinson, like you said, picking up. The Ravens did pick up Deontay Johnson though, so that's interesting. And obviously Zay Flowers, he's nothing to
He's
sneeze
nasty.
at. He's
He's
nasty.
nasty.
Zay Flowers helped me win my fantasy last year. Like I had him in almost every league. Um, so and Deontay didn't play a lot because he had to get acclimated to the playbook and stuff. So once he's there, you just the sky's the limit for them. And I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm just saying, as of right now, with what's been proven, the Rams is legit. They're a legit contender for sure.
That's a fact. And again, like a maybe theme through the episode, but another team that's faced adversity before and proven winners, right? They've won a Super Bowl. McVay is a baller as a coach. Stafford, like you said, big time gamer, man. Like he I love the fact that LA went and got him because now you're pairing him with a great offensive mind like McVay. And so and I think the ability to go into what's considered a hostile environment in Seattle, even though lost their last 4 home games, they're spiraling out of control right now. Um, just shows me like, hey, I could take the Rams anywhere. And while other teams were looking to add at the trade deadline, they're adding through health. So it's not let's get a piece acclimated. You already know this piece knows the piece knows the offense. It's just getting them up to speed, getting them
Healthy.
healthy. And so, um, man, it looked crazy when I said it before.
No, you
I
did.
I never gave up.
You did. You did. You said it. And
Never
we should have
never give up.
took that plus money, betting them to win the. You know what? I'm gonna look that up because now I'm curious.
Yeah, as you're pulling that up, I want to talk about another NFC team that's been hot lately. That you didn't mention. And I'm glad you didn't mention them because I don't think they're on the same tier. Even though they have more wins than the Rams, if they're playing the Rams, I'd probably take the Rams, and that's the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Kirkle has this trap going crazy. Don't get me wrong. They're cooking in Atlanta.
Yo, Atlanta's turning up right now between Kirko, Chains, and Free Thugger.
Yeah,
They outside right now.
listen, I mean, 19 for 24, 222, 3 touchdowns. And remember, Drake London left the game early. And so, and shout out to you. You've been high on Darnell Mooney since his early Chicago days. He's a certified threat. Bijan, obviously a threat. But even guys like Ray McLeod, I mean, Kyle Pitts only had a catch for 11 yards, but he cooked against Tampa. So they just got so many weapons. And the defense under Raheem Morris, you think it's just going to continue to improve because that's his forte. So, with Tampa losing to Kansas City, they're down 2 games, but Atlanta swept the season series. So it's like they're really down 3 games. It seems like they're locked to win that division. And now it's like, hey, how high of a seed that we can get? Because you want to be playing those games at home as much as you can. You don't want to have to go to a Green Bay. You don't want to have to or have to go to a Detroit, even though it looks like Detroit's going to lock down the 1 seed, but you want to try to climb seeding. But shout out to you because you picked Atlanta to win, man. You picked Atlanta to win the division. I like Tampa,
Atlanta,
but
I think, and I know I mentioned it, but I think Tampa was done once Evans and Godwin went down, right? Like,
yeah.
That's 2 talented stars that you just can't replace.
I mean,
now,
best duo in the league?
Stellar Shepard, close. I'm taking Puka and Cooper still.
Where do you got AJ and Devonta?
I knew he was gonna say that. I'd say third. Without thinking of other duos. Out of those 3, I would put them third. Because they don't use Devonta like I think they can.
How about Justin Jefferson and anybody?
Nah, I can't do it anybody because that second player makes a difference. Addison's not there yet. Hawkinson's just coming back. Justin Jefferson is fucking nasty though. He's by far the best wide receiver in the game, bro.
100%. Listen, Chasing Higgins,
but Higgins again, another one who's like
hurt all the time,
inconsistent, and hurt all the time. So I love Devontae Smith. I think Devontae Smith he could be a number 1 in a lot of places, but I don't think they utilize him to his abilities.
Bro, he should be a giant. I'm so sick of that whole draft. That whole fucking draft, bro. Literally.
Did you see
sick.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. That's all I had to say was he should have been a giant.
Since we're talking about receivers, did you see they asked Michael Irvin to make the ultimate wide receiver? Did you see that?
I did see that. He said hands of Chris Carter.
Yep.
What is it like body of Andre Johnson?
Speed of Tyreek, body of Andre, playmaking of himself. Yeah.
He was the playmaker.
So if I was to ask you, if you was to make your receiver, what would that look like for hands?
Let me do modern day version. How about that? So,
well, I think he had modern day people in there, but go ahead.
He put himself, bro. But then he said for speed, it was somebody else that I don't.
Tyreek.
No, but he also said Tyreek or somebody else.
Yeah, someone. Yeah, Bob.
But old school dude.
Yeah.
Give me the hands of Odell Beckham Jr.
Hell no.
Oh yeah, bro.
Go ahead, continue. He has a lot of fucking drops. You're crazy.
He does. But
he does. He takes his hands.
But no, his hands are maybe let me do this playmaking ability of Odell.
Yeah, because
When
he
you
would
do,
turn a slant into a touchdown.
but also like if you talk about Matt, like spectacular catches, crazy.
I knew you're living off that one, but go
Uh,
ahead.
Hands right now. Let me get Jetta's, bro. He doesn't drop passes. Speed, Tyreek. It still gotta be Tyreek.
Yeah.
And then physical size is Calvin Johnson. I don't know
Yeah,
how you
yeah.
take any other body type than Calvin
I know.
Johnson.
I know. So, all right, playmaking. You said Odell.
Odell, yeah, hundred
So then who
percent.
you got for hands?
Justin Jefferson.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right, so for hands, I'm taking Chris Carter. Is
Oh,
that not
Chris. Yeah, you can take Chris
yo, he,
Carter.
he was
Crazy.
talking about how he used to do stretches to make his thumbs go like wider. So
That's
instead of
crazy.
it being here, it'd be like way down here.
Why not the hands of Jerry Rice? Because you stick him. In fact, give me Jerry Rice. This
Nah,
man play with stick him.
nah.
I'm good. He even said it. Wait a minute, I want to say
That's crazy.
he play with
I'll
stick
take
him.
Chris Carter. Chris Carter, because I do remember him talking about doing those exercises. Speed, obviously, is Tyreek.
You taking somebody because they do thumb exercises? That sounds
Yeah,
crazy.
to me, yeah, but yo, he showed it, bro. His fucking thumb was touching his
Now he
wrist.
showed you his thumbs, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. On national television, he did that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
He said
listen,
he said private thumb exercise with Chris Carter.
I'll take
That's why
someone
he's
else,
taking.
man. I'll take someone more modern.
No,
I'll
no,
take
no, go ahead.
Edelman.
Fuck
Yo, who would you
Edelman.
take for route running?
Oh, Chad Johnson.
Chad Johnson was
That shit
nasty,
shit
bro.
go crazy.
I'd
His
probably
routes.
take Devontae.
Adams is also, yeah. I mean, that
You
was
see what he did on that play? He made the kid fall.
nasty, bro.
He's nasty. So anyways, I'll take Edelman's hands. Edelman caught everything
He
and took
sure
the big
did.
hits.
He did.
So and he made that crazy catch against the
The
Falcons.
Super
No,
Bowl.
I'll take
That
it.
shit.
I'll take it Edelman's hands. And then we got Adams for route running. Definitely Tyreek for speed. Definitely Megatron for body type. And playmaking, I'm taking Randy Moss all day.
Yeah, Randy Moss crazy.
Nobody else be like, oh, you got Chad Johnson. You got Ocho Cinco. You got Moss for a reason.
I'm taking that guy who made the greatest catch ever, and that's Odell Beckham for playmaking guy.
That's all he should be known for.
I mean, as a Giants fan, I got to see him take little 3-yard slants to the house, like on a regular.
Yeah, that's corny.
No, that's playmaking. That's
Nah,
playmaking. That's
it is what it
playmaking.
isn't. Like you're just taking a slant route. You're not like breaking
And not
tackles.
only that, but
doing
he made more than the catch against San Francisco.
Victor
that he made
Cruz was a
crazy.
better Giant than Odell.
Oh, I'm not going to debate that, but he was a better playmaker.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the Chris Carter. They made it worse. He was like, he showed me how he can bend it.
He went like this, and his thumb was at his wrist, bro. I was like, that's fucking different. How do you do that,
bro? Not this guy's.
That makes your catch radius from here to like.
This guy's Michael Jordan with his fingers like that.
Yo, Michael Jordan's hands is crazy, bro.
It's like,
hey, you know who else got crazy? You know who else got crazy hands like that?
Who?
My guy, Denzel Washington, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah, go look at this shit. He was like this. I'm like, yo, what's he pointing at? He's like, King Kong, I ain't got nothing.
That's crazy. Yo. Speaking of Devontae Adams, because you brought him up, caught the eventual game-winning touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. No, not even game-winning, extended the lead in the fourth quarter. First hookup between Aaron and that sounded crazy. First connection between Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams for a touchdown as Jets. Handing the Texans a loss, which I think maybe some people saw coming, some people didn't.
The Jets were the favorite,
which is insane. But
it's because of injuries, though.
Any chance? I don't listen. CJ is kind of I said there's something funky about the Texans. I've been saying that since like week 3.
You have
Before Nico Collins got hurt. Any chance that the Jets make a
no,
playoff push?
no,
I don't like how you just said it like that.
no,
Why?
no.
Tell me
Because
why
of the
though.
Jets. One, because of the Jets.
That's all you can stop right there.
Two,
I'm convinced.
because of the Jets.
Okay. No doubt.
Three, because of the Jets. And I'll even give you a bonus one. 4, because of Aaron Rodgers.
If that you put that number 1 and then use the rest, I think that would have been good. I agree with you. I
Okay.
think if you look at their schedule, you'd be like, oh, winnable games, right? At Cardinals versus the Colts, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jacksonville, Rams, Bills, Dolphins. They could maybe lose 1 or 2 games.
They will lose
But
2 games at
but
least, minimum.
why should they be? What have they shown us this season that they should be favored versus any of those teams? Only team I'd give them the one up on is if Anthony Richardson was starting for the Colts, which he's not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Jets are hoping something happens to Joe Flacco between now and then. But flip side, Houston, because Houston was your AFC pick, and they've kind of looked again out of sorts all season, especially since the Nico
They
Collins
look
injury.
sus. They look sus.
What is going on in Houston? Offensively, we know why.
It's injuries.
Then offensively, we know why.
Injuries.
Defensively,
I'll be honest. I'm not watching their games enough to know if it's the play calling, if it's I'm not watching the games close enough. I will say I have enough confidence in D'Amico where he'll right the ship. I think also because of the offense, because we just talked about this too off air, where when the offense is clicking and they're sustaining drives, it helps the defense. Whether it's with rest or the ability to call certain plays that you normally wouldn't. If you know you can count on Stroud connecting with Nico and making up if the big play happens.
right?
So I'm not really worried about it. Yes, they do look sus. Yes, they obviously don't look like they're on the same trajectory as they were last year. But I still feel like they have time. Tank Dell's obviously still balling. He had a great game last game. Nico should be back soon. Joe Mixon's been fucking. He looks like the best Joe
He's been
Mixon
great.
there ever was.
He's been great.
So yeah, I'm not too concerned about what's going on in Houston. I just feel like they have to get healthy.
Yeah, I agree, especially along the offensive line. CJ was sacked 8 times against the Jets, and a lot of the pressure was coming from the interior. Quentin Williams was putting a lot of pressure, made CJ move to the outside, and the edges were able to come in and kind of collapse. And then when the interior of the line held up, the edges were getting home, forcing them to step up, stepping into Quentin Williams for a sack. So the line is probably their biggest issue. But then, of course, again, Nico's going to help them. Defensively, here's some of their rankings. They are 14th in points per game, which is pretty good. 30th in fourth down conversion, 30th in red zone efficiency. So
There you go.
70% of the time they're giving up a touchdown once
There you
opponents
go.
get into their red zone,
Yeah,
which
there
is
you go.
killer.
So now you're playing from behind, right? And you're not getting off the field. There you go.
There you go.
That's
Answer.
fixable. That's fixable.
I think running the ball more. I mean, I think they've been doing a good job of it. It's just if you get down, it's kind of hard to run the ball consistently.
Yeah. And I would say they still have it. That's another thing. Like they don't get away
They're
from
doing
it.
a good job running the ball. No, they don't,
Yeah.
which I give them credit. They kind of did towards the end of last game, but that's because they were down a couple of scores and they kind of had to have it. But I agree with you. They're not in any danger, which is good.
Mixon went crazy the first half, right? And then the second half, he didn't really.
Yeah.
What do you have for the second half? Do you know?
I
you break that up?
But I know I think he had like 70. Didn't he have like 60 or 70 the first half?
Yeah, he went crazy the first half. No, I think he had like 90, to be honest with you. Unless that was receiving and rushing, but he was balling.
Yeah, he killed him. He was killing them, and that's why I was kind of surprised when they got away from it because Houston was up 7-0 going into the half. Because of that, Malachi Corley fumble at the goal line. The good news for Houston is that they're not in any danger of losing their division unless they completely tailspin, which I don't see happening. They already swept the season series against the Colts, who is the closest person in their division. The Titans are vying for the first, not anymore actually, because they beat the Patriots, so they gave that up, the first overall pick. And the Jaguars are also very bad.
Yeah.
So they'll have time to figure it out. It's just now, your hopes at potentially the 2 seed are probably gone. The 1 seed wasn't an option because the Chiefs are rolling, and then the Ravens are going to keep rolling. So you're probably going to be 3rd or 4th, depending on what happens with the AFC East. But Buffalo's also been rolling. So
yeah. Speaking about draft picks, we can talk a little bit. I know you had that on the agenda, which is the Giants, because you had the slideshow put up about everybody and like what to expect in their future games. And with the Giants, you just had straight draft picks.
Just draft picks. Yeah, so we could talk about that a little bit. Because I know we got some Giants fans that listen to the show. It's always nice to know that I'm not in pain alone. They say misery loves company.
We gotta
right?
get Ray back on here. He was a consistent guest.
Yeah, Ray, and Ray is knowledgeable.
Yeah.
So the Giants, I guess, are the best of the 2-7 teams. So there, believe it or not, there are 7 teams in the NFL that are 2-7. Like, that's fucking crazy.
That's bad.
But because the Giants have the strongest strength of schedule, they are due to pick 7th. Teams ahead of them include New England, Jacksonville, New Orleans, Carolina, Cleveland, Las Vegas, with at minimum 3 of those teams needing a quarterback, being New Orleans, Cleveland, and Las Vegas.
And maybe the Panthers.
And maybe the Panthers, right, depending on what Bryce Young shows. Shout out to him for getting a good win against New Orleans, where he played a big part in getting that done. Before I get to the Giants, I want to talk about your Patriots, who currently hold the number 1 overall spot. If you're the Patriots, knowing that there's going to be teams like the Giants, potentially like the Raiders, who are going to be quarterback hungry, they're going to want their pick. If you're New England, do you consider, if this thing's hold, which they probably won't, because there's still a bunch of games to be played.
Yeah.
Do you entertain trading that pick because
yes,
you're not taking a quarterback?
Yes.
And if so, how far would you be willing to go? Down.
Depends on the draft order. I want to be the first team to be able to take Travis Hunter.
Is there ever a world you consider him picking? If you have the first overall pick, you pick him?
Yeah, we don't need a quarterback.
You don't?
No.
But I'm just saying, do you think they'd be better
the future?
I agree with that 100%. What the drive against Tennessee and the fact that he was able to keep the play alive and get to OT was crazy.
And against the Jets, he was cooking against the Jets.
He was. Yep.
So let's just say we got. See, I don't like this because there's just too many. There's too many variables still. But
sure,
hypothetically, let's just say the Giants are the 4th pick. Behind, I don't know.
Let's say Carolina, New Orleans, Jacksonville, or not just Jackson. Let's say this: New Orleans and Carolina, 2 teams that probably are going to need a quarterback.
If I know Carolina's taking a quarterback, I'm trading that pick all day. Because the Giants is going to want to move up to take the quarterback they actually want. Yeah.
You want your pick. Yep.
So I don't mind falling back if they're going to be 3 straight quarterbacks, and then I could take Travis Hunter and get something else out of it.
Another first round pick, or
another
second
pick,
round, or a high second round in the same draft.
Exactly. I'll do that all day. If it's someone like Carolina who, they end up, because they're not gonna end the season well if Bryce picks it up. You know what I'm saying?
I guess if Carolina's in play, you probably never fall back behind them.
Exactly. So they won't be that high in the draft.
Same thing with Jacksonville. Like I think Jacksonville's a better team than New England. Like they played head to head, and sure, Jacksonville won. London game, Jags play in London all the time. Like they're not. They just play Trevor, so they're not drafting.
What I'm not doing is jeopardizing the the ability to draft Travis Hunter. I'm not doing it.
I agree with you. I think that's exactly right. But I think because of that, um, I think New England's in the perfect spot. Like if you're New England, you want to end at the top of the draft.
But yeah, because of what we can get possibly for that.
Exactly. Like
Right? It's
this
like
is
we
exactly
talked
what you
about,
want.
like Ori brought up the ball and the coach wanting Jaden, but really, like the GM son saying trade up for Jaden. And I know what you and I talked about. It's like if you could have, would you? And you're like, oh, Washington's not going to give up that pick. But I gave you a scenario where had you guys signed Saquon and could swap picks with Washington, where Washington could be like, oh, maybe I can get a Drake May if New England wasn't going to take him, or a Penix, or a McCarthy, or even a
Right.
Bo Nix, someone that they might have still been high on, as well as get Saquon, because they didn't need a receiver. I'm not saying they wouldn't have taken him, because Neighbors is a generational talent in a lot
Savage.
of people's eyes. But you can still you got Scary Terry, then you got Saquon, and then you can still get a quarterback that you are high on. That's something that could be thought about. And I was, you know, would the Giants do that? You said you would offer that if you could have, but that's another. At this point, it's done with. So
So let me ask you this, because obviously I know you're high on Travis Hunter, and I think he's a fantastic fit in New England with Gerard Mayo, because he knows that organization had a player that did play both ways. He played with Troy Brown. Um, if you're New England and you spend this capital, A, do you experiment with the playing both ways? And B,
yes,
is there ever a point? Is there ever anything that would make you consider saying, "Hey, we're not going to do this"?
yeah.
Like we're only going to play.
So the answer to both those questions is yes. One, I would do it because he's proven to perform at a high level on both sides of the ball. Two, for the second part of that question, do I change my mind? I would change my mind if he's struggling, or if he's telling me, I feel like I could do even more on one side of the ball if I'm just solely sticking to this side of the
Focused on that.
ball.
Sure.
I don't think that's and I don't think that's in his DNA. But if he came to me and said that, then yeah, we'll do that to accommodate him performing at an even higher level on that
Right.
side of the ball. And you could always use a corner in this league, and we obviously need a
Absolutely.
receiver. We was about to pay. Thank God we didn't, but we was about to pay
Ayuk.
Ayuk the max. So you have to take that. I did see reports of us taking another wide receiver. I can't remember his name. I hope we don't go that route. I think Travis Hunter is tried and proven, and when you got someone like you said, Dion, putting his stamp on it, how do you go wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think, and that's another guy who he started at the at Jackson State with Dion, HBCU. Them, going to Colorado, and that program's faced a ton of adversity ever since Dion's got there. We kind of talked about that a little bit off air about you want guys who have faced adversity,
Yes.
because especially when you're coming into a situation like it when you're going to New England, high draft pick, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
There's a chance you guys are still going to be bad.
Yeah.
Um, because you're a franchise that just needs a lot at a lot of different places, and you're trying to build through the draft.
Yeah.
And so, but I agree with you. I think that's the route you go. But I will say this: the future looks 20 million times more bright in New England than it does in New York, which pains me to say. But
The Giants?
yes, because the quarterback is the single most important position in football. Even though the Giants have the pieces, love Neighbors, love Wandale, Theo Johnson had a good game. Tyrone
Mhm.
Tracy's looked awesome. So a lot of, even on defense, Deontay Banks, who struggled a little bit this past week, but Drew Phillips,
Burn.
Azeez Ojolari, Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence. Like there's pieces, but it just goes to show when you don't have the quarterback, you're fucking 2-7 with the Patriots, who we think are kind of devoid of talent. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
40 million. I can't believe it still. 40 million is fucking.
and the thing is, what's crazy now is that's
I
average.
know. I don't want to hear that. I
But
heard that too many times.
I
Fuck
do
that.
want to
He's
I
not an
do
average quarterback. He's
no, I
below
agree,
average.
way below average. But I do want to go to before we wrap for our fans that are fans of the Dallas Cowboys talking about overpaid quarterbacks, Dak Prescott.
Mm.
Who's apparently on the books next year to be a $90 million cap hit. Imagine that. Between him and CD Lamb, I think it's like they're like 48% of their projected salary cap. So you have 51 other roster spots to fill with half your salary cap. Good luck figuring that out.
That's
Um,
nasty.
and he's gonna be out 4 weeks. But I think we got on the Titans coach early in the year for dropping his quotes. I think Dak might have dropped a quote on the sidelines saying we fucking suck. I love the self-reflection and the honesty because that is true. Your thoughts about Dallas, number one, any chance of them potentially being a contender in the NFC? They're,
Are you kidding me?
remember, or at least making the playoffs.
No.
Remember this
No.
big trade deadline move, Jonathan Mingo.
I told you your sense of humor got better. That made them worse.
Jonathan Mingo.
Yo, you know it's funny. He's gonna end up balling, but at the end of the
Shout out to
day,
Jonathan Mingo. This could be your chance.
I drafted him in some leagues. But here's what I'll say: I believe they were frauds in week 2. So
You
now
did say
that we're
this.
where we are now, it's stats my approval. So
That
they're all
loss to
fucking
the
set.
Saints.
They're
That
all
loss
set,
to the
bro.
Saints looks a lot worse now
Yeah.
because the Saints just fired their coach.
Look,
Um,
he's looking for a lion.
oh my goodness, he's not gonna find one in Dallas. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
So that, lastly, before we jump into the slate of next week's games, kind of want to talk about some other trade deadline moves real quick. I think the biggest ones are the Steelers adding pieces on both sides of the ball. Preston Smith on the defense, already a stacked defense. Never hurts to have more playmakers on defense. And Mike Williams, the failed Jets experiment, to your receiver core. And I love it when I saw this trade go down and people were making it a bit, Bleacher Report and ESPN, Sports Center, all this. And they're like, Steelers finally get a receiver like George Pickens doesn't exist and that he's not infinitely better than Mike Williams at this point in his career.
Yeah.
But you were talking, I think last show you brought it up, or maybe it was the show before. You like how Russell Wilson looks in Pittsburgh. What do you think this addition does for that offense?
I think it helps. I think it helps with Pickens a little bit, not a lot, because it's not like I don't think Mike Williams demands a double team by any means. But I will say it helps with Russell's strength, which is throwing up that high ball for a 50-50. And Mike Williams is the type of athlete to go get it when he's healthy. So I think he can help stretch the field. I think that he'll score a few touchdowns just off of the jump balls that Russell throws. And I think it does help in the sense of who's the Steelers' number 2? Is it Van Jefferson?
And Jefferson. You got that rookie, I believe, Roman Wilson. They've been trying to work in, but that hasn't really
Roman Wilson. Yeah.
that hasn't really blossomed.
No, so I think it helps. Do I think it propels them to the next step? No, I don't. I think that Mike Williams will probably play 2 games and then be hurt, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's a fair bet. Can you bet that?
I don't know if you can bet. You
That's
bet
sick-
everything,
that-
so I wouldn't
that's
doubt
sickening.
it.
That's sickening.
Oh,
if
it
you
was
could bet
plus
that.
350 if you bet the Rams, by the way.
Nah. We should have took it when they were 1-4. So I'll say this. I agree with everything that you said. I just think maybe you talk about stretching the field vertically. That's one of Russ's strengths. I think that opens up some underneath stuff, maybe for Pickens, because he's a playmaker, right? Just get the ball in his hands and let him do things, and so that might open up some of the more short to intermediate game for Pickens to kind of operate in, which I'd like that. it also might deter teams from maybe packing the box a little bit earlier on earlier downs. So let Najee and Jalen Warren eat a little bit more. But I agree with you. I think they're still on that kind of like third level of AFC contenders. And I said this, I think last week or the week before, which is Chiefs are on the level of their own. And then there's Buffalo and Baltimore. And
I
maybe
don't think Chiefs on a level of their
they're
own.
on a level of their own.
Well, go
Until
ahead.
someone else proves me otherwise, they're on a level of their own. And then there's like Buffalo and Baltimore. I don't even know if I should put Buffalo on the same rank as Baltimore because they washed Buffalo. But the Ravens lost to the Raiders, so that's almost equal. And then you got that next rank of AFC. And when healthy, I'll put Houston on that same rank. When healthy. And then
Okay.
you have like Pittsburgh, Cincinnati,
Patriots.
no. And then kind of like everybody else in the AFC. So I don't think it, like to your point, I don't think it moves them. I think it keeps them, maybe helps them out, but I don't think they're probably like a first round exit or second, depending on the matchup they get. They're a very matchup dependent team, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. What else that this week's slate of games and exciting news. Let's jump into next week because we have a bunch of interesting games kicking off with Thursday night AFC North matchup, a big one. Cincinnati at Baltimore. Baltimore
Ravens.
favored by 6. I like Cincinnati. They need to win.
Ravens.
They got to be the more desperate team. New York at Carolina.
New York.
Carolina. New England
That's
at
crazy.
Chicago. No, I need this to happen. I'm trying to like speak it into existence. Do I think Carolina's better? No, I don't. But I don't think they're definitively worse.
The Giants are gonna have minimum 8 sacks.
Listen,
8 sacks minimum.
Listen to me.
Crazy.
Listen to me. Bryce Young got benched. He still might be a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. They still might have the edge at quarterback.
It's not might be.
Oh, that's crazy. And one's not getting paid for. He's not getting paid $4 million.
Yeah.
New England at Chicago. Buffalo at Indy. Buffalo. Denver at Kansas City. Kansas City. If you were betting this game, 21 plus, gamble responsibly. Kansas City -8. I don't love that line. I would take Denver plus the points because Kansas City just doesn't blow people out.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta at New Orleans. Atlanta. Trap game written all over it, but it's Kirko's trap. They're cooking. San Francisco at Tampa Bay. I like
San
Tampa.
Francisco.
Pittsburgh at Washington. Minnesota at Jacksonville. Minnesota. Tennessee at the Chargers. -8 though. Chargers being favored by 8 is a little disrespectful to Mason Rudolph.
You liked Willie Randolph.
Willie Randolph. Not even close. Philly. Shout out to Willie Randolph, man. Legend. That's disrespectful, bro. Philly at Dallas. This is Philly. Trap game written all over it. Philly loves games like that. Philly thrives off of games like this. New York at Arizona. Give me the Jets. The Jets.
Yeah, Jets.
Detroit
Cardinals
at Houston.
just can't get it together. Who?
They're one of the most frustrating, confusing teams in the league.
I hate watching them.
Like, you're too good to be this bad, but you're too bad to be this good.
My one loss in one of my fantasy leagues is because at the very end of the game, when the Cardinals was playing the Chargers, Marv dropped that ball. Like he dropped the catch.
You love him.
All right.
Detroit at Houston.
Detroit.
And then Miami at the Rams. We already know we're going to win. Rams, baby.
That's a Monday night game?
That's the Monday night game.
Wow.
I wish
they go crazy.
He about to cook up, bro.
Cooper's going to go crazy that game.
They lost Miami a couple weeks ago.
10 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown.
Who knows? It might be Puka's game. They might feel bad for him because he threw a punch.
Book it. 10 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown.
I better see that on your parlay ticket.
You will.
Sports books. Wish death upon me.
Yeah, they do,
man, what a show.
That's a good show.
What a show. Guys, always appreciate you guys rocking with us. As always said it at the top, I'll say it again. Wherever you're listening, please subscribe to Infamously Speaking, whether that be on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Please leave a comment, review, helps the podcast grow. Share with a friend, loved one, or someone who's just having a bad day. Because either one of two things are going to happen. They're going to feel better or they're going to feel a lot worse. But as always, think critically, speak infamously.
We out.
Feeling patriotic today, huh? A little salute at the end.